A coworker of mine came to me the other day with a problem. He had a saw that had a safety switch, and his son had accidentally broken the switch and it wasn't functional anymore. It wouldn't stay clipped in. This is that switch. Now, as you can see, it was a clean break on one of the two pieces that goes in and clips into place. And essentially what would happen is whenever he tried to push in or push it out, it would stick to his thumb, it would fall out, and he no longer had a safety switch on the saw. He knew I was into 3D printing, and he wondered if there's anything I could do to help him out with that. And this is the replacement one. Now, I printed a bunch of them off because the finer details were harder to print off, and I wanted to make sure I gave him one that was super clean. But you can see, even from this one, which isn't perfect, that the two are a pretty near identical match. This is basically just a functional print, a drop-in replacement for something that was broken. But how did we get from this to this? I thought you'd never ask. Let's roll that clip. I started out by drawing a rudimentary outline of how this piece was going to look, which is really easy to do when you have the original in your hand. Then I started taking measurements at various points using my calipers, and then quickly jotted down those measurements onto the picture I drew. Here you can see I had to measure each of the different rings. Now luckily this entire piece is essentially just cylinders stacked on top of each other, so it makes designing this piece relatively easy. Just working my way through, measuring each of the different rings, and then jotting them down as I do. Then I realized that I need more than a two-dimensional drawing. I actually need to measure the width of everything as well, so quickly jotted down another drawing and began measuring the rings from the outside. Again, they're primarily just large to small stacked on top of each other, with the exception of the top of the clip where it clips in. So then it was a matter of drawing it out in Fusion. You can see I'd already had a couple of iterations, but essentially this is how it goes. I start off by putting on a single circle, which is going to serve as the base, and then all I have to do is extrude it up to the proper thickness that we jotted down earlier. Once that's done, we just draw another smaller circle in the middle of that one. As I was saying earlier, because it's pretty much just like a pyramid type shape, it makes this part pretty simple. Once again, I just extrude to the thickness that we came up with before, then a third smaller circle in the middle, and then extrude up to where the clip part of the button is. Just like that. Then on top of this one, I draw a bigger circle, which is going to give us our clip where it basically extrudes out the side. This is what holds it into the saw once it's fully installed. So with this, I have to make sure that I highlight both sections before I do the extrude to get the proper thickness. And there we are. Now we have the bump on the side that'll hold this button in place. At this point, I just draw another circle in the middle, which is the same thickness as the third circle that we did. And then I extrude it up. And this completes the basic shape without the slot cut in the middle. That'll be the last step we have to do. So then, knowing that each of the wings is 1.5 millimeters thick, I measure in from the side of the circle, 1.5 millimeters, draw a vertical line at that point, repeat the process on the other side, and then all we'll have to do is do a, not an extrude, but basically a push versus a pull on the three segments to create the slot that we need. As you can see, that gives us the hollow slot. At this point, the basic shape is done. All that's left to do is clean it up and get rid of some of those rough edges. I essentially just had to tap F for fillet and go around the rough edges that I wanted to put a curve onto. And then just one by one, I curve them out to make them look more like the original piece. And there we have it, a completed piece ready to send to the printer. 3D printing saves the day again. A piece that wasn't really user replaceable, something they didn't sell a replacement for. I was able to just quickly model it up and print it off and hand it off to him. And the best part is, I gave him a handful of them because they only were about a half a gram each. So if he breaks another one, it's not really a big deal. He can drop in a new one, no problem. Alrighty, well again, I'm James from Print and Play. Thanks for sticking around till the end of the video. If you like this video, toss me a thumbs up. If you're new here, subscribe and click the bell so that you get notified when I put new videos out. And if you have something you want to see me work on in the future, go ahead and toss it in the comments below. Until next time, stay creative.